Social Security Month. Surprisingly restored. Is this just a media campaign, or a signal for a series of larger changes being quietly prepared? In today's video, based on official sources, we'll analyze what this means for those currently receiving Social Security benefits. Like, share, and subscribe to avoid missing updates that matter to you. What is Social Security Month, and why is it urgent right now? Originating in 1935, the Social Security Act was signed into law during the Great Depression, not just as an economic solution, but as a government commitment that American citizens wouldn't be left behind when they age, lose their ability to work, or lose family members who were financial pillars. To honor this commitment, National Social Security Month has been held multiple times as an effort to raise community awareness about basic benefits. From retirement pensions, SSI, SSDI, to survivor benefits. This year, the campaign returns nationwide until August 14th, commemorating the 90th anniversary of the U.S. Social Security system. But it's not just symbolic. This event takes place in a special context. When trust in the system is shaken after numerous controversies about overpayment refund request letters, the risk of SSA depleting its budget by 2034, and when citizens are no longer certain what will happen with the benefits they once thought were guaranteed for life. The Social Security Administration currently serves about 70 million Americans, paying over $1.4 trillion annually. These numbers don't just reflect scale. They reflect people's actual dependence on the system, and that's why any change in SSA operations, even small ones, can cause widespread consequences, both financial and psychological. When a program that serves as the nation's final safety net is disrupted, insecurity comes not just from finances, but from individuals' feelings of disorientation and lack of control. From that perspective, restarting Social Security Month may not just carry simple media significance, but could also be a policy signal, showing a new approach to connecting citizens with public welfare services. Why was this campaign suspended for 6 years, and what does that say about welfare policy? The disappearance of National Social Security Month since 2020 wasn't simply a consequence of the pandemic. True, during COVID-19's first year, when the entire country locked down and federal offices closed, SSA had to cancel community outreach activities. But what makes many question is why the campaign wasn't restored throughout President Joe Biden's term, even when other agencies gradually returned to normal operations. Under the Biden administration, SSA accelerated digital transformation, supposedly to reduce burden on the office system and help people process applications faster. The MISSA.gov website was promoted as the main information portal. But according to the American Public Policy Center's report, in 2022, nearly 28% of elderly people couldn't access the internet at home. For disabled people, this percentage was even higher. This means when the system moved online, a significant portion of citizens, especially vulnerable groups, were left behind. From that perspective, stopping Social Security Month in recent years may have widened the gap between the system and beneficiaries, especially for those who needed clear, direct support to ensure they didn't miss benefits. The Trump administration's current approach, and questions being raised from the early months of the new term, the Trump administration has clearly expressed its view on reestablishing a direct service culture at SSA. Reforms announced by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, include ending widespread remote work, reducing middle management layers, streamlining internal programs, and reallocating budget to invest in technological infrastructure that has been outdated for over a decade. According to DOGE, these changes could save over $1 billion and are expected to improve application processing speed, reduce backlogs, and enhance citizens' experience when visiting SSA offices. However, these steps are also under close observation. Some former leaders like Martin O'Malley, who served as SSA Commissioner under President Biden, have expressed concerns that rapidly cutting internal departments could make the system vulnerable to overload, especially in emergencies or benefit disputes. Additionally, the policy of resuming overpayment collections, which had been postponed due to impacts on tens of thousands of elderly people, is also a point making many advocacy groups cautious. The issue isn't whether reform is right or wrong, but how it's implemented and whether citizens have enough time, tools, and information to adapt to those changes. The restoration of direct service, but fears of loss haven't disappeared. Many people have positively welcomed the restoration of direct services at Social Security offices. After years of managing the electronic system alone, not everyone felt comfortable handling identity verification steps, income declarations, or reporting personal information changes just through a computer screen. For a large portion of beneficiaries, especially the elderly and disabled, meeting an SSA employee, being guided step by step through forms, or simply having someone answer directly, doesn't just bring convenience but revives a familiar sense of security they thought had disappeared. However, this feeling doesn't exist purely. It simultaneously awakens a quiet but common form of anxiety, the fear of losing benefits. This psychology doesn't come from assumptions, but largely from actual experiences in 2024, when tens of thousands of people received letters from SSA informing them they had been overpaid and must refund the money. Notably, not everyone understood why they were being asked to repay, or how the collection process would happen. For many, this was the first time they saw that benefits, which they believed were fixed, could be withdrawn, and withdrawn unexpectedly. From there, feelings of insecurity began to creep in. Even when present at the office, talking with SSA staff, not everyone could shake their concern. Are their benefits truly stable, or just temporarily secure before a larger review coming soon? In this atmosphere, the SSA reopening is no longer simply a service. It's becoming a place where people seek confirmation that they haven't been abandoned, that the changes occurring aren't targeting them, that they have time to adapt. At the same time, bigger questions have begun to emerge. Not exactly opposition, but defensive skepticism. Are current reforms truly aimed at serving citizens, or are they stepping stones for a broader restructuring plan? This suspicion isn't necessarily due to lack of information, but because existing information is being placed in a highly volatile context. Therefore, alongside support for returning to the office, there are also cautious gazes. People don't just want better service. They want to know that changes won't silently tighten conditions or establish new rules for which they weren't prepared beforehand. When policies are changing but information arrives slowly, anxiety doesn't lie in what has been announced, but in what remains silent. Information is protection. As Social Security policy gradually returns to the national discussion spotlight, not just through budget proposals but also through changes in SSA operations, the restoration of National Social Security Month brings a notable value. It opens a pause, a rare opportunity for citizens not only to look back at the system, but also to examine their own relationship with that system. This is a time when actively researching information, verifying records, updating addresses and bank accounts in the SSA system isn't just a technical operation, but a form of self-protection against changes that no one can yet confirm which direction they'll take. According to the SSA Oversight Committee's 2024 report, up to 19% of recipient files have address errors or outdated banking information, leading to delayed or incorrect payments, especially during automated verification processes. These seemingly small errors are the cause of a significant percentage of overpayment collections or temporary benefit suspensions. So, while no one can control national policy, controlling your own personal information is both a right and responsibility that everyone can exercise. Another important point to note: During system restructuring periods, people who clearly understand their records, knowing which benefits they're receiving, under what category, whether they depend on income levels or not, will typically respond better when changes occur. Conversely, those who let their files run on autopilot, not actively checking, are usually the most surprised and passive group when there are adjustments to benefit conditions, income testing, or asset limits. Therefore, practical action right now doesn't need to be complicated. It can simply start with logging into SSA.gov, checking the Payment History section to see if there have been any recent changes. It could be a call to your local SSA office to ask about processing applications, or saving new documents from SSA to timely monitor when important notices are issued. These small steps don't solve all problems, but in a changing system, individual understanding and readiness are the foundation for minimizing risk. No one knows exactly what will change next year, but people with information and preparation always have advantages over those who just wait. Safety in a welfare system sometimes doesn't come from government promises, but from citizens knowing how to navigate within that system. We're living at a time when Social Security changes may not happen noisily, but silently impact millions of lives. Understanding your benefits, actively checking information, and closely following updates not only helps protect yourself, but also helps loved ones around you from being left behind. If you found the information in this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to continue accompanying us in upcoming policy analyses. See you in the next video.